The Discovery setting, Deep Space Monitoring Station orbiting Jupiter. 2387 ad story opens with Earth's Deep Space Monitoring team detecting unusual alien transmissions from the outer rim of the solar system. Commander Jake Roberts leads the observation team at Station Delta 7. His team includes Technical Officer Lisa Park and Communications Expert Tom Hayes. The aliens belong to the Vec Empire, a proud warrior race that has conquered dozens of star systems. They send what they believe is a standard intimidation signal toward Earth, a frequency they use to demand immediate surrender from primitive civilizations. The signal contains images of destroyed worlds and burning fleets. However, the Vec make a critical error. The frequency they choose happens to match an ancient Earth military protocol, Code Crimson, established centuries ago as humanity's ultimate distress beacon. This code was designed to activate only in the face of total extinction-level threats. When Earth's automated defense systems receive the signal, they interpret it as the activation of humanity's most classified military protocol. The signal awakens dormant AI systems and triggers emergency procedures that have been sleeping for generations. Commander Roberts watches in confusion as military bases across the solar system suddenly light up with activity. Ancient shipyards that haven't operated in decades begin powering up. Emergency broadcasts flood all human colonies with a simple message: Code Crimson activated. All available forces report for immediate deployment. The Vic fleet, led by General Core, approaches Earth expecting to find a cowering, primitive world ready to submit. Instead, their scouts report massive energy signatures emerging from what they assumed were dead moons and asteroids. These aren't celestial bodies, they're camouflaged military installations. Part 1 ends with the shocking revelation that humanity has been preparing for this moment for over 2 centuries, ever since first contact protocols were established. The peaceful human civilization the Vec expected to find was merely the visible surface of a species that learned long ago to hide its true military might. The Awakening setting, various human military installations across the solar system. Story shifts perspective to show the massive scale of humanity's hidden military infrastructure awakening. Admiral Grace Stone, commander of the Solar Defense Fleet, emerges from deep cryogenic sleep along with thousands of other military personnel who have been in stasis, waiting for this exact scenario. On Mars, Colonel Ray Fisher oversees the activation of the Red Planet's hidden weapons platforms. What the galaxy believed to be terraforming equipment was actually an elaborate disguise for some of the most powerful orbital cannons ever built. The asteroid belt reveals its true nature as mining. Operations shut down and massive battle stations emerge from hollowed-out rocks. Captain Anna Wells commands the Belt Defense Grid, a network of mobile fortresses that have been masquerading as civilian mining platforms for decades. Meanwhile, the Vic fleet continues its approach, completely unaware of what they've triggered. General Core receives reports from his scouts about increasing energy readings, but dismisses them as primitive planetary defenses. The Vec have conquered 47 worlds, and none have ever posed a real threat to their superior technology. Earth's population receives emergency broadcasts, instructing all civilians to proceed to underground shelters. These aren't simple bunkers. They're massive subterranean cities that can sustain millions for years if necessary. Humanity learned from history's mistakes and built their civilization with war in mind. Even during peacetime, the Awakening reveals humanity's true nature, a species that appears peaceful but maintains a military doctrine based on overwhelming response to any existential threat. Every human colony, every space station, every seemingly civilian installation has a hidden military purpose. Admiral Stone reviews tactical data showing the Vic fleet composition: 12 heavy battle cruisers, 40 destroyers, and over 100 smaller vessels. By galactic standards, it's a formidable invasion force. By human standards, it's about to become a valuable source of combat data. Part 2 concludes with the first human ships emerging from their hidden bases. These aren't the small, peaceful vessels the galaxy has seen humans use for trade and diplomacy. These are purpose-built instruments of war, incorporating centuries of theoretical weapons development that humanity has kept secret from. Galactic. Civilization. First contact setting. Edge of the solar system. Initial engagement Zana General Corps attempts to establish communication with Earth, expecting the usual surrender negotiations. Instead, he receives a response from Admiral Stone that chills him. This is Admiral Grace Stone of the Human Solar Defense Fleet. You have activated a Code Crimson scenario. Surrender immediately or face total annihilation. The Vec are confused by this response. In their experience, primitive worlds either surrender immediately or put up token resistance before being crushed. They've never encountered a species that responds to intimidation with counter threats. Captain Mike Torres leads the first human scout squadron to intercept the Vec advance guard. His ships use technology the galaxy has never seen. Weapons that bend spacetime, shields that absorb and redirect energy, and engines that move ships faster than should be physically possible. The first skirmish is brief but devastating. The Vec destroyers, confident in their superior numbers, engage what they believe are primitive human vessels. In under 10 minutes, half the Vec advance guard is destroyed or disabled. The human ships suffer no casualties. General Corps watches the battle recordings in disbelief. The human vessels move with impossible precision. Their weapons cut through Vec armor like it doesn't exist, and their tactics suggest centuries of warfare experience. This isn't a primitive civilization. It's a military superpower that has been hiding its capabilities. The surviving Vec ships retreat to the main fleet, bringing news that shakes the entire invasion force. The humans aren't just defending, they're hunting. Long-range sensors detect human ships moving to surround the Vec fleet, cutting off retreat routes with methodical precision. Earth's hidden bases continue to activate, revealing the true scale of human military preparation. Lunar installations that appeared to be research facilities transform into massive shipyards, launching vessels that dwarf anything in the Vec fleet. The asteroid belt reorganizes itself into a defensive grid that could stop an armada 10 times larger than what the Vec brought. Admiral Stone contacts the Vec fleet directly, offering one final chance to surrender. She explains that humanity has spent 3 centuries preparing for this exact scenario, an extinction-level threat that requires absolute response. The Code Crimson Protocol was designed with one purpose: ensure that any species threatening human survival faces consequences that will deter future attacks. General Corps realizes the horrible truth. His intimidation signal didn't trigger a surrender protocol. It triggered a war protocol. The humans aren't responding as victims. They're responding as apex predators whose territory has been threatened. Part 3 ends with the Vec fleet trapped in the outer solar system, surrounded by human forces that seem to appear from nowhere, using technology that shouldn't exist, implementing tactics that suggest they've been preparing for this war longer than the Vec Empire has existed. Asterisk the hunt setting. Throughout the solar system, full-scale Ingagamenthi human fleet doesn't simply attack. It demonstrates. Admiral Stone orders a systematic dismantling of Vec capabilities, showing the aliens exactly how outmatched they are. Each engagement is a lesson in human military doctrine. Overwhelming force applied with surgical precision. Commander Paul Ryan leads a squadron that disables Vec ships without destroying them, taking prisoners and studying alien technology in real time. The humans aren't just winning, they're learning, adapting, and improving their tactics with each encounter. The Vec attempt to use their standard siege tactics, but discover that human installations are designed to withstand attacks far more devastating than anything the Vec can deliver. Weapon strikes that should cripple space stations barely scratch human defensive barriers. Captain Beth Morgan commands a stealth division that infiltrates Vec formations, gathering intelligence and sabotaging key systems. The Vec discover that human military technology includes capabilities they didn't know were possible. ships that can phase through solid matter, weapons that strike from parallel dimensions, and defensive systems that turn enemy attacks into power sources. General Core attempts to rally his forces for a final assault on Earth itself, hoping that direct planetary bombardment will force human surrender. Instead, he discovers that Earth's true defenses haven't even been activated yet. The planet's surface installations were decoys. The real weapons are hidden in subspace, ready to emerge when needed. The battle reveals humanity's military philosophy. Never show your full strength until absolutely necessary. But when that moment comes, respond with such overwhelming force that no enemy will ever threaten you again. Every human tactic serves dual purposes: winning the current battle and deterring future conflicts. As the Vec fleet is systematically destroyed, their communications equipment captures human tactical discussions. The aliens realize that this entire engagement is being treated as a training exercise by human forces. Officers discuss the battle as if it's a simulation designed to test theoretical weapons and tactics. The horror of the situation becomes clear to the surviving Vec. They aren't fighting humanity's main fleet. They're fighting training squadrons using experimental equipment. The bulk of human military might remains hidden, waiting for threats that actually require its deployment. Part 4 concludes with the Vec fleet reduced to a handful of crippled ships, surrounded by human vessels that seem to multiply with each passing hour. General Core finally understands what they triggered: not a planetary defense, but a demonstration of why no species in the galaxy has ever successfully conquered humanity. The message-jetting aftermath of the engagement, galactic-wide implications. Few surviving Vec ships are captured, not destroyed. Admiral Stone makes it clear that survivors are intentional. They need to carry a message back to the wider galaxy. The humans don't want to exterminate the Vec Empire. They want to educate it. Captain Rick Hall oversees the processing of Vec prisoners who are treated well but thoroughly debriefed. The aliens learn that humanity has detailed knowledge of dozens of galactic civilizations, including complete tactical assessments of their military capabilities. Earth has been preparing for contact with every known species for centuries. The captured Vec are shown humanity's true military installations, not to intimidate them, but to ensure they understand the scale of what they encountered. Underground, cities that can sustain billions, shipyards that can construct fleets in weeks, and weapons testing facilities that dwarf entire Vec planets. General Core, now a prisoner, has a final conversation with Admiral Stone. She explains humanity's position. They want to join galactic civilization as equals, not conquerors or victims. The Code Crimson Protocol exists to ensure that humanity never has to choose between extinction and domination. The story reveals humanity's long-term strategy: appear peaceful and non-threatening while maintaining the capability to defend against any possible threat. This approach allows humans to engage in diplomacy from a position of strength, without having to constantly prove their military might. The Vec survivors are released with complete records of the engagement, detailed information about human capabilities, and a simple message for the galaxy: humanity seeks peace, but any species that threatens human survival will face consequences designed to prevent future conflicts. News of the engagement spreads throughout galactic civilization. Species that view humanity as primitive and easily exploited suddenly reassess their assumptions. Trade routes that avoided human space begin redirecting through it, seeking the protection of a species clearly capable of defending its interests. The story concludes with Earth's return to apparent normalcy. Military installations return to their hidden states, fleets disperse back to concealed bases, and human civilians resume their peaceful activities. To outside observers, nothing has changed, but the galaxy now knows that humanity's peaceful nature is a choice, not a weakness. Admiral Stone files her final report, noting that the Code Crimson Protocol performed exactly as designed. Humanity remains committed to peaceful coexistence with galactic civilization, secure in the knowledge that their true capabilities ensure They'll never be forced to abandon that commitment. The final scene shows human diplomats resuming normal trade negotiations with various alien species. But now these negotiations occur between equals, with both sides understanding exactly where humanity stands in the galactic power structure. Asterisk the end asterisk.